Greetings, this is TK Trav, aka Travis Magus, here with LVX777. This mystery book read has been so much fun, so exciting. I couldn't wait, so we're going to continue with it right about now. This is the handbook for the new paradigm, written by benevolent beings, whoever the hell that is. So, I hope that you have the time to tune in, check it out, and enjoy. We'll be here for just a little while, not too long. But in the meantime, peace to everybody who's here. Peace and good evening. Peace to Jason. Peace, Sunshine Chick. Always good to see you. Star Lion. Peace, peace. Let's get down with it. For sure. Absolutely, absolutely. If I'm gonna light the incense, it would help if I turn the fan off, right? Handbook for the new paradigm. Where did we leave off? We left off at number 3. So, that's where we will continue. That's where we will continue. Numero tres. Numero tres. Peace, Lance Benefield. Good evening, bro. Aldin, peace. Hope you're having a good evening. Are you ready? Are you ready? Are you vibrationally ready for this new paradigm? Curious, did anybody take advantage of Amazon and get themselves a copy of this? There we go. Got my Fruity Pebbles coffee ready. Now we can get it cracking, get it popping. All right. So, number 3. Number 3 is where we begin today's lesson. Number 3. It is our hope that the process being initiated will bring together a nucleus of such compatibility as to be a cohesive cell, which shall mimic the bodily process of cell division. Within such a process, the spread would be quite amazing. Remember, a babe begins with the combining of just 2 cells and becomes a being of trillions in a matter of 9 months. Begins with 2 cells and becomes a being of trillions in a matter of 9 months. By the law of attraction, a universal law, this is entirely possible. Of course, the nature of the babe is determined by the birthing combination. It is the characteristics of these that shall have a profound effect upon the end product. Do not worry. Ones that should not be included won't be, but there are many that are appropriate. Just relax and allow the process to flow, which doesn't mean that this phase is yet complete. Indeed, it is just beginning. Just setting minds to considering such a possibility will not bring commitment. You are most important in the birthing. It is receptive hearts that are willing to begin the processes that are important. The character, openness to act beyond the confines of the present moment, the ability to make and keep commitments, the love of fellow man beyond themselves, the desire to rise above the stress to see the forest that are the critical components for these parents. Through this process, the awakening of man into, again, the family of man is possible. The ability of man to transcend the present self-made dilemma into a new concept of experience will bring about a change, not only individually, but to all, and a ripple effect will be felt throughout the universe cosmos. I know that this seems like a big assignment to begin from just two, but each new child is also a miracle. Its beginning is hardly auspicious. Just a mass of dividing cells with no apparent organization into a miniature babe. But at a miraculous moment, the appearance in miniature is there. Inspiration shall begin the change within the focused group consciousness. Kind of interesting because even though we haven't started the cosmic doctrine yet, it's already starting to sound just a little bit like that book. Which, by the way, if you don't know, this coming Saturday's book read, we will begin the study of Dion Fortune's The Cosmic Doctrine. So go ahead and grab that book to prepare for the next official book study. I'm on Ross Intro. Peace, peace. The project assignment is that each new cell continues to divide. How exactly is this going to work? The first meets with two. Then each meets again with two others. Then each again meets again with two others until there are 7. 3 plus 2 equals 5 plus 2 equals 7. Then that group meets and the 4 additions split and create their own 7. Now the originals at that point can again begin a new cycle or drop out. The more times each individual repeats the process, the more the growth cycle accelerates. Can you see how the original organization can grow quickly without bringing great danger to the project or to the individuals? At this point, it is only the dream that is being promulgated. Then the babe takes shape at the critical point of greater group awareness. Then the plan changes and the organs, so to speak, begin to take shape for the different functions necessary for the creation of the dream. Since the focus is on the creation of a new experience, armaments are not a part of the picture unless danger is present. The focus is not resistance because forward movement into change is not factored into the detection process as presently set up by the oppressors. I shall leave you to consider what you have been told this far. So he's comparing the assembly of the people necessary and the minds necessary to come together and create this new paradigm. He's comparing that to the development of a baby in fetus, to the development of a zygote. And he's talking about how the two cells come together, they begin to replicate, and what begins to develop first as far as, what's important. And one thing that he notices here is that, let's go back just one step. The more times each individual repeats the process, the more the growth cycle accelerates. Okay, can you see how the original organization can grow quickly without bringing great danger to the project or to individuals? At this point, it is only the dream that is being promulgated. So he says, then the babe takes shape at the critical point of greater group awareness, right? The baby takes shape at the critical point of greater group awareness. So when more and more of the mass of cells become aware of their purpose, the larger entity starts to become aware. Then the plan changes, right? So at that point of critical group awareness, instead of building the foundational aspect, now the organs start to develop, right? That's what's important at this point. The organs begin to take shape for the different functions necessary for the creation of the dream. Since the focus is on the creation of a new experience, here's the part that he wanted you to pay attention to. Since the focus is on the creation of a new experience, armaments are not a part of the picture, and less danger is present. The focus is not resistance, because forward movement into change is not factored into the detection process as presently set up by the oppressors. Interesting. J. Baldale, peace. Supremacy McCoy, peace. Al Dickey, that's my real name. Peace, bro. Nuru, peace and greetings. J. Baldale says, how much did I miss? Not much. We actually just started. It's actually 11 minutes and 11 seconds in. Marwa Fakir, peace. Good to see you. Let's keep going. Number 4, right? Number 4. So it sounds like, so far as he's speaking about this new paradigm, I think he's getting to the foundational idea of the people needed for this new paradigm. Maxwell Alali says, so is he saying your participation in another death and rebirth will aid in broader awakening of the collective consciousness? That's not what I gathered from that. Maybe that's what you gathered, and I'm sure you have your reasons for coming to that conclusion. I gathered that as more and more people begin to awaken to the vibration, because when people awaken, you don't just suddenly wake up and know what the hell's going on. You start to get curious, and you start researching, you start digging, you start searching. So as more and more people become awakened and their focus starts being tuned in a particular direction, i.e. the direction of creating a better life, we start gravitating towards each other. We start gravitating towards different things that will lead us to the skills that we need to develop. I mean, how many times in your life have you started to develop a hobby or a skill, and then in the future it became something necessary, but at the time of you learning it, you weren't learning it because you knew what you were going to use it for. You just started gathering that particular skill because it was something you were interested in. That's what I'm getting from this, that people are beginning to awaken. They might not know exactly what the point or the purpose of the awakening is, but they're following their intuition and moving towards skills, concepts, and information that will serve the greater whole in the very near future. That's what I got from it. C Main, peace. All right, let's get to number 4. I'm currently dog sitting, so let me go check this dog real quick. Looking at me. In or out, buddy? All right. Number 4. Fear in the heart puts a damper on the appreciation of the wonderful gift of life. It also hardens the belief of separation and causes those wrapped up in it to become deadened and wooden in their ability to perceive changes going on around them. ZJ, peace. It is like a cloak being wrapped around the awareness. In this way, the darkness wraps its insidious plans of subjugation and annihilation around your fellow Earth beings. Look at that. Look at how powerful fear is. That's why it's not necessary. It's not necessary. Caution and awareness, those are one thing, but fear is not necessary. It's a definite sign of an unbalanced ego. I'm gonna highlight that. Yeah, we got some more people that have joined since I asked the question, but I want to know how many people in the chat actually got a copy of this book, if it's been interesting enough to actually grab one. Fear. It is like a cloak being wrapped around awareness. In this way, the darkness wraps its insidious plans of subjugation and annihilation around your fellow Earth beings. Now begins, in earnest, the movement of the light to bring an end to this situation. As with all things, it begins with the process of thought and desire to bring an end to it. As with all things, it begins with the process of thought and desire to bring an end to it. In this case, the subtle, modest beginning will go unnoticed. The opposing forces are planting their seeds of perceived invincibility everywhere. Ain't that the truth? If this were real, they would not need to do so at the level of a psychological campaign. Think about that right there. For those of you who are still, even though I say this, if you're still scared of the Illuminati or the Demiurge or the reptilians or whatever group you're scared of. Listen to this. The opposing forces are planting their seeds of perceived invincibility everywhere. If this were real, they would not need to do so at the level of a psychological campaign. I want you to think about that next time you see some propaganda and it makes you shiver in your timbers. I get it. I was scared of the Illuminati at one point. I was scared of all kinds of invisible boogeymen at one point. But knowledge has a funny way, wisdom and knowledge has a funny way of dissolving that fear. Remember that humanity now numbers in the billions. That is an overwhelming number in itself. These are souls that are volunteering to be here for the benefit of this planet, and these beings have incarnated here for the purpose of experiencing the next rising, or at the least to assure its success. They shall not go unrewarded. Remember that this is a play. It is difficult to get this understanding across, but in a play, all you have to do is to change the lines to change the scope of the play. Well, you are a fragment of the whole of creation and can begin changing the lines of the play. Is this an oversimplification of this situation? It would appear so from your perspective, but indeed it is as simple as that. This project involves the formation of the group entity that can change the lines, or add a new character, however you want to visualize the process. Remember, a visualization involves pictures. The words that you use in your contacts with those who might become the critical parents of this entity will respond to that which stirs their imagination and their emotions. Learn from your successful political elections, which appeal to emotion before logic. That's a powerful piece of wisdom right there. You know, let the rest of these folks argue about political people and what they think they know about them. Oh, Trump this and Biden that. Like, who gives a shit? Don't get caught up in that nonsense. Observe how these political organizations influence the masses. What exactly are they doing in their campaigns that actually wins the vote? Right? It's not the laws and the changes they say that they're going to do. It's hardly ever that. They hit some emotional keys first. And once those keys are triggered within you, then you go back and you justify your emotion with whatever logical thing they said they're going to do. They move your heart first, and once your heart's moved, then you go and you say, oh, well, they're going to change the tax bracket or whatever. You convince yourself that you've been convinced by the logical aspect. But check that out. Learn from your successful political elections, which appeal to emotion before logic. And look what he said also just before that. Remember, right? A visualization involves pictures. The words that you use in your contacts with those who might become the critical parents of this entity will respond to that which stirs their imagination and their emotions. That's how we do it. It's never the logic. The logic is what you use to justify the way that you feel. I want you to really understand that. I try to share that with my brother as often as I can, and I know that it has to be repeated over and over, because usually when we complain about people like, I can't believe they did that, I can't believe they said that, they're such an asshole, or this, that, or a third. Well, look, it doesn't matter what they say. How do they make you feel? That's what got you to move. Then you go back and justify the way that you feel with those words. Starlion says, come get this Big Mac and fries with every COVID shot. Man, I've seen some crazy offers. I think in Louisiana, they were offering like 3-4 pounds of crawfish if you come and get your shot. I remember one place was offering a free donut. Not donuts for life, not donuts for a week. You got a free donut. That's barely $1. That's barely $1. I'm giving you a free donut. And by the way, you got to get it hot or else it's going to get cold and then it's not going to be as good. But again, you know, you were already convinced emotionally. You just justified it with the donut or the crawfish or the burger. And it's easy to call somebody stupid or, oh, you're an idiot or da-da-da-da-da. It's easy to say that, but you really got to understand the process. You don't know what emotional buttons were hit for a person to make the decision that they make. MC Maestro says, a place I worked at offered a free Carl's Jr. burger. Hey. Peace, MC Maestro. Peace, Anna Molly, my favorite ginger. Welcome, welcome. Straight Panther, I don't know if I said what's up. Peace to you, brother. Peace. WT says, yes, Trav, this book is heat. I got the Cosmic Doctrine on the way, though. I didn't order this yet. Peace, WT. Row Rock and peace. Faith Lockhart. Peace, peace. No Diddy. No Diddy. C-Main. Peace, peace. Alright, who did I miss? Liam. Peace, peace. Alright, let's get back to it. Let's get back to it. Lance Benfield says they were offering weed in California when I was out there. Wow, that might be the best one that I've seen. I don't know though. That 3 pounds of crawfish, that sounds tempting, right? Nuru says you ain't black if you don't vote Democrat. That was a strong one from Joe Biden, and it didn't seem like anybody really questioned that. Right? Like, who are you to determine my blackness? Instead, we went to go vote for him. Funny how it works. All right, homies, let's continue. Homies and homettes. Homettes, I don't think that's a word, but I guess whatever. Learn from your successful political elections which appeal to emotion before logic. What works for this instrument of the opposition with the people can work for you also. The logical approach brings lots of rhetoric, but it is that which brings visualization and emotion that incites action. So far, y'all, that might be the most important sentence of the day. I want you to, if you're not going to write that down, at least take a moment to consider this fact of the human. The logical approach brings lots of rhetoric. Yeah, you can talk. We go back and forth, argue, debate, pontificate. We can do all that all day long, and nothing will change, as you can see. However, it is that which brings visualization and emotion that incites action every single time. Get it before we move on. That's a nugget, that's a gem that you can use anywhere at any time. We are creatures of emotion. We are not logical. All right, let's continue. What is wanted here is action, not reaction. The resort to the use of arms against the plan for overwhelming mankind is doomed from the start. Let me say that again for those of you who, and I've heard from, and I've met some in real life, who have this idea that, yeah, man, we're going to fight the Illuminati. We're going to fight the powers that be, whatever powers they are. I'm just saying Illuminati because that's easy, right? They have this idea that they're going to train and buy a bunch of guns and go to war, with, as Panic would say, with the people who make the guns, right? Check this out. The resort to the use of arms against the plan for overwhelming mankind is doomed from the start. You won't make it out of the door. Yet the keeping of their guns by the citizen of this country means that their freedom is not yet gone. I'm not saying that I'm anti-gun. Far from it. But what I'm saying is this idea that you think you're going to go to war with the people that, you call enemies. That's wrong from the start. When those are taken, then you will see a real overwhelming realization among your people of the gravity of what surrounds them. Thus, the timing is again stressed. We do not mean to belabor this, but there are windows of opportunity that must be used for our advantage. For these offer the greater chance of success with the least amount of suffering for the greatest number. The Wandering Healer asks, where's part 1? It's on YouTube. It's called Mystery Book Read. It was posted just a few days ago. Just go to my channel and look at the live videos and just scroll down a bit. You'll see it. And Amali says, gotta have way more than a little earthly firepower. Right. Okay, where were we? Yeah. So, insofar as grieving in regard to those that are suffering, let me assure you that the number of souls incarnating on this planet increases the difficulty of their plans. Note that I avoid using certain names, and you would be wise to do that also. After all, within your circle, the exact identity of these forces can be assumed as known, right? That's why I keep naming like 3 or 4 groups. Everybody, well, not everybody, but if you're at this level so far to understand this information, you know what's important, right? Their role is well known to them before they incarnate. Let me run that back. Their role is well known to them before they incarnate. Yo. They don't remember it now, of course, but they come to assure the success of the process of our mission. Does that assure you of the importance of the Earth in the total scheme of the grand picture? I would think so. In the initial meetings of the small groups, no one visualization is likely to appeal to all. So one suggestion shall be given in advance. Ask and it shall be given. A composite will emerge that will provide the appeal when anticipation reaches a critical stage. This diversity will aid in the masking of the process. You are well connected, so do not be concerned about this aspect. Use the visualization of dominoes standing on end and arranged is a pattern so that when one is made to fall, all follow in rapid progression. It has great application to our meaning and brings an identifying tie to their planned process. Interesting. Marwa Fakir says, interesting book, especially in these times with all the eclipse theories. I haven't heard any eclipse theories. Then again, I haven't been looking, but I wonder what it is that you're referring to. How are we liking it so far? The ratio of likes to the viewers is outstanding in the wrong direction. There's at least 20 people in the chat that are contributing to the conversation, but there's like over 100 people viewing. If you like the video, please like the video. If not, then prove it by not liking the video. J. Baldhill says, oh man, the eclipse theories are wild. People calling it the beginning of the rapture. I haven't heard any of this. Somebody send me an eclipse theory video. A good one now. All right, so number 5. It is resistance to recognizing the situation and more resistance to being responsible for the changing of it, as well as the induced feeling of overwhelm that blocks the participation of the majority. It's a big sentence. Let me read it again. It is resistance to recognizing the situation, 1, and more resistance to being responsible for the changing of it, 2, as well as the induced feeling of overwhelm, 3, that blocks the participation of the majority. So if you ever wonder why the majority ain't being involved in this, well, it's because they don't want to know, they don't want to see their situation, they don't want to have any type of responsibility for it, and they're overwhelmed. And we've all felt that, we've all been there. I remember me deliberately not wanting to hear anything of this nature. I remember certain people also literally closing their ears when I start talking about this kind of stuff. I don't want to hear that shit, man. You always talk about that spiritual shit, right? A couple years later, they're all about it. Everybody evolves at their own rate. The willingness to be responsible for personal conduct and to change the focus of perception is buried within the busy, frantic schedules of daily existence. Individuals find solace in their excuses for not confronting the growing signs of coming oppression. Breaking down this line of resistance and drawing as many of these into the new planned pattern of life remains the goal. Those of the dark plan have set their focus to overwhelm any human beings with plans to resist and have preconceived plans ready to move toward the crushing of resistance. Amun-Ra Centro says, bruh, yeah, I hear you, but I'm trying to smoke this blunt. Yeah, you remember that story. You remember that story. ANH. Peace. ANH says countering those theories with the imagination and feelings is literally what this book is about. Right, right. Oh, there you go. Lance Benefield says, and they're supposed to be shooting rockets at it. Yeah, I heard somebody mention that. But, you know, I done heard a lot of theories over the past 24 years. Still waiting for damn near all of them. MC Marshall said, then they say, I never said that. Those of the dark plan have set their focus to overwhelm any human beings with plans to resist, and have preconceived plans ready to move toward the crushing of resistance. What a visual. Crushing somebody's ambitious plans. It's funny, but it's not funny. However, there are none for the coming of a new vision. This leaves that opening available to us. In fact, the ideal opening. Our plan is not to fix the old, but to create the new. Listen, those of you who have been listening to Bobby Hemmett and Brother Panic for years, they said the same thing, right? It's not about going backwards and we got to get together, right? We got to get the people together and come up with a new economic plan, right? We need to get a health plan together for the people. We need to get a business, Black Wall Street. That's not it. That already happened. And just like he said in chapter 1 of this book, anything that has already been a solution, I mean, obviously it wasn't a solution because we're still here. Anything that was done in the past is not the answer. You're going to have to make a quantum leap in creativity to grab the answer for today. It's not going to be something that happened yesterday. It's not, we got to get together and build no pyramids. We have to do something that is not in any book, right? There's no rituals. Uh-oh. Now, granted, this stuff is here to help. What's the word that was used? It's for the training of the mind, right? It's to help with the training of the mind, but not to tell you what to do. Let me read that again just to make it make sense. Those of the dark plan have set their focus to overwhelm any human beings with plans to resist, and have preconceived plans ready to move toward the crushing of resistance. However, there are no plans ready for the coming of a new vision. That leaves this opening available to us. In fact, the ideal opening. Our plan is not to fix the old, but to create the new. There will always be the repetition of certain ingrained habitual thoughts, hopefully not to the point of nausea. Starline says, makes me feel as if we're up against something, even though I know rationally that may seem silly. Just going with my gut feeling. And isn't that what he just talked about in number 4? About really, we're emotional creatures. We're not logical. This emotion and image is what moves you into action, not logic. That's proof of it right there. You just said, even though it makes no sense, it seems silly, you're still going to go with your gut feeling. There's the evidence of what was just said. That's how we all operate. Based off of how we feel, and then we come back and cover it up with words. So accept that. Don't try to fight it. Accept that that's how you are, and learn how to work with it. Learn how to utilize that and manipulate yourself, influence yourself, mind control yourself. That's why you learn mind control, not for other people, to do it to the animal that you are riding on the back of. Yeah. Cybernet, long time no see. Peace, peace. Yamaika, peace. Welcome. Jet Jaguar, peace, peace. So there will always be the repetition of certain ingrained habitual thoughts, hopefully not to the point of nausea. The skill of speaking, indeed even thinking. Did you know that thinking was a skill? Did you know that? The skill of speaking, indeed even thinking discreetly on the subject of those with plans contrary to the will of creation, will aid in helping to bring that style or of referring to them into usage. Now, let me break that down. Look what he said now. We're looking for a new way to create, a new way to think, and a new way to exist. Not fixing the old, but creating a new. So he says that there is a skill of speaking, right? There's a skill of speaking. Guess what? There's a skill of thinking as well. Speaking discreetly and thinking discreetly. You ever have your group of friends, like, y'all speak in your language amongst each other? By the way, every human being that has a relationship, you have your own modification of language. So like your family group, the people in your family that you grew up with, y'all have your own language. And there's like little words and phrases and gestures that is only within the parameters of the language of that family. Right? And it expands out into like racial groups, right? Country and et cetera, et cetera. This is where culture comes, this is where slang comes from, right? Somebody started saying glizzy, and then it spread from one group to another group to another group. Somebody started saying gyat, right? So you ever been in a group talking about a certain thing, and then here comes that person that is not clued in, and they're extra loud and extra obvious, and it's like, man, don't really want you around, because like we're trying to be discreet about this conversation, and you're just all blunt and out there with it. Hey man, can I buy some weed off of you? What the hell? You guys smoking a marijuana blunt? So yeah, he says the skill of speaking discreetly and the skill of thinking discreetly on what? On the subject of those plans, right? Speaking discreetly and thinking discreetly on the subject of those with plans contrary to the will of creation will aid in helping to bring that style of referring to them into usage. In other words, when it comes to developing this new reality, maybe start developing a way to think and to speak in a way that doesn't bring too much attention to what it is that you're creating. It'll help. It's not being paranoid, but it will help, most certainly. The more variety in this application of presenting the subject being discussed, the better. It is easy for focused individuals to get right to the point, but this will not serve in the long run. Nuru asks, how do we reconcile created new with there's nothing new under the sun? That's a great question. I love that. That's a great question. So the way that I'm reconciling that is that I'm seeing life as a process in motion, right? A process that is in motion. And despite the fact that there's nothing new under the sun, one thing that we can consider is that what's quote unquote under the sun is a vast expanse, right? Vast expanse. And just like most of us, we only stay in a certain area, right? Some people don't leave their hometown. Some people don't leave their city, right? Even though there's a big ass world out there to explore. So what I'm thinking here is that this creating of newness is more of an aiming of your awareness towards territory that is not frequently traveled. Let me know if that brings resolution to the question you asked. Even though there's nothing new under the sun, there are many, many things that most of us don't entertain with our attention. Books like this, for example. Let's keep going. It might be appropriate to point out that a linear progression within the scope of this project will not always be apparent. Divine order is the order of the day, and divine order does not follow man's ideas of sequence at all. You have set up certain unspoken, subconscious rules to give sequential order to your experience. The forces of God do not have to follow sequence to have organization. Therefore, it is important that once the process is initiated to a critical point, then you must trust in its completion of itself without the ego control so familiar to each of you. Trust the process, I think, is what he's saying right here. Trust the process. You must trust in its completion of itself, without the ego control so familiar to each of you. This is imperative, lest you monkey wrench your own dream. Our cooperative effort, and it is that, must begin, continue, and end with focus on a completed goal. It is the composite of dreams of what a utopian world would be like, one that each would truly like to experience that will bring this to pass. This is the opposite of the resistance that is expected. How much time do each of you spend in this daydreaming process? Survival daydreams are more the norm in the group that we are depending upon for this formative process. Granted, such a thing as easy, earth-compatible energy sources are a part of that dream. For luxuries of easy living are not appealing sacrifices for freedom from oppression. This is what is automatically supposed will be the cost of such a change. Would a new paradigm of experience be without comforts? Different comforts, probably, but I doubt anyone will feel any regrets for having given up the present situation. This again is the resist or be shoved backwards thought process that must be abandoned. That you want what will make your experience even better is a given, and it should be assumed. It must also be assumed that there may be a short period necessary to endure in order for this change to happen, but it can be shorter than you might imagine. When this pivotal project is accomplished, our help is not only allowed, it is mandated. It is the beginning think tank discussions that will bring about the beginning of the change of expectation to an overexpanding group. Think of a stone tossed into a pond. The ripples reach out to affect a greater area. We call it a critical point. You refer to it as the 100th monkey theory. Think of the counter-thought group as having to send the ripples in from outside to the middle. Remember, they are creating what is not in accordance with the laws of God. All right, so we're talking about the counter-thought group, right? Think of them as having to send the ripples in from the outside in towards the middle. Remember, they are creating what is not in accordance with the laws of God. Their concentration is toward containment, while your focus is toward rippling outward. Now, which one do you think works the best? When these ripples meet, what happens? If you are using the same pond water, which one is likely to overwhelm the other, especially if the stone that is dropped is becoming larger and larger in what might be interpreted to be slow motion? Think about that. Just imagine the concept here. Now, as he was saying previously in the last, and that being said, it's no question as to why you're being given certain images to visualize, certain scenarios to visualize. I mean, look at how easy it is for people to start talking about, concentration camps, and they're trying to kill everybody and all these negative scenarios. They haven't happened yet, by the way, or haven't happened at all. But how easy is it for just to spread conversation and visualization about those things when you could equally be spending your awareness visualizing and focusing on the reality that you'd like to live in? Like, you literally have a choice to do either, yet we choose to focus on the negative stuff. It's kind of lazy if you think about it. It's kind of lazy to sit there in a receptive trance state, scrolling through your phone and receiving images and scenarios of gloom and doom, and then sending them to your friends and talking about it while you're on your lunch break, or to your family, and like your whole mind is just filled with, hey, you know what they're gonna do in the future? They're gonna kill us all, they're gonna torture us, everything's gonna be terrible. That's what we choose to spend our power on, bro. Like, it's no surprise. When you could literally, no one's forcing you to do that, by the way. You're not getting paid to do that, by the way. In fact, you might be so deep in that you're spending money based on that fear porn, as Yamaka called it. Right? Spending money preparing for this horrible future. You could literally be tuning your mind into what you'd rather see. Like, you could do that. And, no offense to you, because I haven't seen the theory, so I have no idea what they're about. But let's assume that these eclipse theories are like the negative gloom and doom ones, right? We could just take what so-and-so said about it. We don't know how they got that information. For all we know, they could have made it up. And we're going along with it and fueling it. We're allowing it to germinate and gestate and incubate in our imagination, probably adding to its fruition. When you could equally take that very same eclipse and create your own thing with it. You could visualize your own thing with it, right? Honestly, to me, when I'm thinking about this eclipse, I'm thinking that I'm being birthed into a new paradigm, right? And all the signs around me in my environment are telling me that. They're confirming that vision. Now, is it because I'm focused on that's happening? Probably. Or maybe it's happening and I'm becoming aware of it. I don't really care. J. Balhale says, bro, one of the eclipse theories is how it's passing over all these towns with biblical names, and one town is named Rapture too. And again, if let's say that is 100% true, let's say that it is passing over these towns, that still doesn't provide a meaning. A meaning is implied, and most people are going to go with the gloom and doom meaning because we're programmed to do that. But really, you could take that same real life thing and make it mean what you want it to mean. Let's continue. Because like what he's saying here about this water, we'll just say the opposition, right? You can think of it as a pond and there's ripples in the water. The opposition is like on the outside of the pond, sending vibrations inward to affect the pond. You are in the center, right? And the rock that's causing the ripple in the center is actually growing bigger and bigger. And he's saying here, like the ripples of the ripples caused by that rock moving outward, what's going to be the end result when the clash happens between the ripples going out from the center and the ripples coming in from the outside? Interesting. Jabal Hale says, and it's either Jesus coming to save us or the good guy aliens. Subconsciously, they're looking for us. We are the Jesus. We are the aliens. Subconsciously, that's what they're looking for. That's what they're waiting for. They see the same thing that we see. It's just that their filter is unrefined. They're receiving pure light just like we are, but their filter is not the best. So when they go to translate this pure light, they come up with, oh, Jesus is coming back, aliens are coming back. They're waiting for us to do something. Amon Ra Central says, Trav, what's your Cash App or Venmo? My Cash App is LVX777. I'll post a link here. Hot tamale. Hot tamale. Puppy dog, did you want to sit in my lap because you think that there's food up here? Because I feel like you're looking for something to eat. There ain't no food up here, buddy. Your food is over there in that bowl. Hakeem Labidi, peace, peace. All right, let's continue. Let's continue. So, remember, there are vibrational effects that are and will be brought into being that cannot be observed by you. Each time the thought pattern is focused towards the goal, the more it becomes intensified. As it intensifies, it becomes more magnetic, and attraction begins to build. You are not likely to surprise any of the contacts. What you are most likely to hear is that it has been in their thoughts already, but they just hadn't made the effort to follow through with its implications. The process will become appealing and challenging when you begin to dream of ways to use the mechanisms put in place for the use of those of opposite intentions. Doesn't that sound intriguing? Rather than to destroy and resist, it might be possible to use some of what they have in place for your own intentions. Isn't that what we were just talking about? You have focusing powers that are capable of many things when there is group participation, and a few innovations of your own can be added. Remember the pipe that sends vibrations to the crops in the fields? Ever wonder what else it is capable of doing? You might be surprised. Even the sound embedded in Dan Carlson's music tapes for the growth of plants might be interesting in the presence of their focused vibrations. Sonic bloom. Just a thought or two about what you already have available. Nuru says the counter-moving waves, if they are harmonic in frequency, the waves will join and amplify. If they are disharmonic frequencies, the waves will nullify or destroy each other. Zero says the power of imagination is infinite. I was taking the bus and I saw myself in the mirror, started imagining myself with fire in my heart, just because why not? And I actually felt my heart firing up. It's amazing what the mind can trigger in the subconscious, which in turn can trigger in the physical body. Cyclomancy. All right, number 6. The light begins to change its focus as the window changes in what might be considered depth. As layers of intentional activity will be added, the focus becomes more intense in the area on which it is aimed. Now, this can be an advantage as it can bring the focus to a greater clarity. That the cloak of darkness appears to you to be getting more intense can have its positive aspects. The closing of the noose is not as unobserved by the masses as you might think. Intuitive feelings are becoming aroused, right? The critical mass of awareness is being aroused, and the other side is well aware of this. Remember, there is a weak link within their plan. They're going to demand that their army of militia turn on their own people, indeed their own friends and family. That is a key point on which there will be reactions they cannot predict. This allows openings in their plan. They seem minor to you in your consideration, but these can be used to great advantage. For sometimes a moment is all the focus of light may need. Ours will not be a plan of resistance. It will be the lifting up of a vision into manifestation through the minds of many. When the picture of what has been carefully planned for them is repulsive enough to their imaginations, don't you think that they will turn their enthusiasm to a vision that thrills them? Remember, there will be those who choose otherwise. There will be a division. There will be enough that have been either won over or will be lost in the desire of continuing to experience the menu which has been fed to them in the media barrage directed at them. This will be a point you will have to deal with, as will all that join in this plan for transcending the decayed into the new birthing opportunity. All will not choose to join. And here you must recognize the free choice of experience given to each. It is not so much hardening your heart toward them as an attitude of allowance. Remember, there is no death. Only the end of an experience, and eternity is incomprehensible. It is not for any of you to judge what the experiences of each individual means to the completion within each soul. The soul draws to itself a composite and makes of these experiences patterns that dazzle the imagination. The dance of duality, darkness and light, as you will, are part of the play. You must not become disheartened at any time, for there will be those who will surprise you. It is for you to keep your eye on the vision and to watch it unfold into creation from your limited perspective. That too will be fascinating. How will you know? It will be difficult in the birthing phase, for in the beginning the process of a babe hardly looks anything but a maze of dividing cells with no apparent organization. At the critical point, all that miraculously changes into form, into a form. Then the challenge of preventing an abortion will become a dual focus. However, that too shall be handled. Remember this, as you begin to help yourselves, more and more cooperation from various forms of manifested light can assist in ways you and I cannot imagine, and may never be privy to know about. It is the focus on the vision that shall attract this assistance toward success. We can continue to present this information to you, but there can also be discussion. Questions can be asked as long as they are pertinent to the process at this point. No divining allowed. Just focus on one stage at a time. As to what your continuing roles shall be as the plan unfolds will be revealed as each day arrives. There is no already existing vision except in a dim outline that is set up by the influence of the universal laws. At the time of filling in these outlines, goals will be made known to the founding parents in very simplistic terms. KISS will be the order of the day for the entire project. In other words, keep it simple, stupid. How is that going to be possible within the contributions to the vision by many? Trust the process. The planet is experiencing an entirely different level than it was when the founding fathers of the US followed this same path. Note, this time it is founding parents, and that in itself is a raising of the level of experience. You get that? Because before it was founding fathers, now he says founding parents, in other words, including both masculine and feminine. I want to say also that it's interesting that he's making the comparison of that point in time to now, because the similarity was Pluto and Aquarius happening at that point in time, Pluto and Aquarius happening at this point in time. Interesting. Both energies shall be present, and it shall make for doubled energy focus. Though women knew the last time and supported as allowed, theirs was not a contributory role except as an outside influence. Neither shall dominate, for the vision must move beyond such selfishness and bring about a synergistic wholeness. Yeah, I wonder if these folks here are into astrology, because that comparison there, Pluto and Aquarius. At this point, you must not concern yourselves with the manifestation of their plan. You know of it, you are expecting it, and so it must be ignored. Let me highlight that for the ones in the back. For the ones who've made it a deep habit to be very, very concerned with the plans of the quote-unquote bad guys. I'm using these terms for your sake, not mine. Hey man, you heard what they're gonna do to us? They're gonna take away the dollar. They're gonna take away the gold. Then we won't be able to buy groceries. Bill Gates buying up all the farms. Everything's bioengineered. Now we can't eat nothing. We know all that stuff. And it doesn't change anything you talking about it. Yeah, but we gotta raise awareness to people who don't know. In other words, I want other people to be scared like me. Your focus must be on the moment and what is to be done. If that which you do now puts you in danger, perhaps you should be laying plans for doing something different. Not yet in this moment, but soon. Perhaps this surface activity cycle is drawing to a close. It is only a suggestion to be considered, though you already have toyed with it. We leave it to your discretion. Corporate business will be allowed for activities that do not make big waves. Opportunities shall appear for your consideration. Travel shall be safe for a time yet. If you miss a plane or a flight is canceled, take it within your stride. There may be many reasons apparent in retrospect as to why you were not to be on a particular mode of transportation. When travel is no longer safe, you will know. The focus of your intent now is to work within the activities of the parenting process. Number 7. There is much being done to bring into concrete experience the truth of the statement that the unseen world is more real than the one that is seen by the mass consciousness on the planet now. There's much being done to bring into concrete experience, right? The truth of the statement that the unseen world is more real than the one that is seen by the mass consciousness on the planet now. These concrete demonstrations of the nature of this unseen causal effect are not only stimulating awareness, but bringing forth the opportunity to use this knowledge to encourage the envisioning of the process that together we are beginning to bring forth. How is that for talking all the way around the subject? He just gave you an example of how to say it without saying it. It helps to bring it out of the realm of wishing into the realization that there is a way to counter their methods without adopting them. The work to be done is not at this third dimensional level of resistance, but as I have emphasized before, at the causal level of creating what is another focus entirely. Let me highlight that, because that might help when it comes to understanding this information. The work to be done is not at this third dimensional level of resistance. Check. But at the causal level of creating what is another focus entirely. The reality of the possibility of this process has already been demonstrated in fields that indicate these processes can be adopted and focused in accordance with what is needed. The already proven success of these theories adds the inspiration needed to bring forth the birthing activity. It is recommended that the messages be held for those who would be encouraged to join the birthing process in the immediate future. These people will quickly see the correlation, and of course, some are already in the awareness of some or all of its contents. A basic awareness of both sides of the forces present is needed, and that information is available, and it is necessary that it be known to those selected as the parents of this process. It is a human weakness to assume that what is known to one is also known to all. Ain't that the truth? That's a human weakness. Because that's a sign of a lack of self-awareness. Details are not necessary, but an overview would be most helpful with an available catalog of well-documented information for those desiring a more comprehensive understanding in areas not familiar to them. The processes mentioned in the message are of course known to those engaged in this broad research, and these strive to be merely known, but not to create a situation that will bring public awareness. At that point, their existence is a threat to the powers that assume invincibility. These would be in a precarious situation as the news tightens. Their importance cannot be stressed enough. This is the reality check needed to assure the success of the understanding that these higher vibrational realities need to be pulled into the experience of this planet. As the message reveals, the comfort zone under threat can bring violent reactions, not only in the circles of the opposition, but among the general public. The opposition at its highest levels knows that it is threatened by a possible collapse of their operation from the inside out. The mass consciousness is merely reacting in a Pavlov's dog fashion. Possibility thinking is not acceptable. Herein lies the need for careful movements within the project until the critical mass is reached. Careful movements within the project until the critical mass is reached, right? Until we hit that 100th monkey level. This is why the approach to the plan must be by word of mouth to known individuals who then take the responsibility of approaching those who they know have the proper sympathetic awareness and desire to see the situation change. The ability to identify with the change to be made at levels behind the five senses experience must be paramount in the beginning parenting process. It isn't the number of people involved at this stage, but the quality of the awareness that is important. That's big right there. Quality over quantity when it comes to this kind of thing. The ability to possibility think, the openness to expansion of awareness, and the ability to assimilate and postulate into new synthesis, the known and unknown, is of critical importance. In other words, choose carefully. With that step clearly in mind, the proliferation will take care of itself. The clarity of the first combinations will set the stage for the entire process. Number 8. It is interesting that the power of thought has brought us to a meeting point of consciousness. This is a process of intent focused towards a mutual purpose. It is this bringing together of purposeful intent that is the magic of shared manifestation. It is evident in the perceived world that surrounds you in both its positive and negative forms. Now the plan is to raise that process to a higher level, to engage known processes to further your exploration of the process of manifestation. It is a matter of intention that brings forth the knowledge to be able to do this from a vantage point of awareness of the essential elements to ensure completion. This need not be done through blind faith in an unknown process. This would encourage an attrition rate that would ensure failure. It is a matter of making the data available to the conscious awareness and then allowing it to percolate. Percolate. I always associated that word with twerking. What song is that? Zero says, what does percolate mean? I'm not English. Percolated, think about bubbling water, right? Think about when you have water in a tea kettle and you're letting it heat up, and you kind of know that it's ready because it's starting to bubble and bubble and bubble, and then all of a sudden the whistle blows. She percolating. I think that's Yin Yang Twins. Somebody correct me. I know somebody knows that song where they use the word percolate in reference to twerking, shaking some ass. Matthew Watson, peace. Matthew Watson says, what's the book called? This is the Handbook for the New Paradigm. Handbook for the New Paradigm. If you look in the description of the video, I actually posted the Amazon link. DKDF, peace. He says Mary J. Blige. Is it Mary J. Blige? Yes, Yin Yang, Supremacy McCoy says Yin Yang twins. I know it's Yin Yang twins. I'm hearing them say percolate. It's time for the percolator. Is that it? Anyways, yeah, you get what I'm saying. The meaning still ties in. So it is a matter of making the data available to the conscious awareness and then allowing it to percolate. That's how the subconscious mind works. I know we have this deeply ingrained habit of believing that the conscious mind is what's doing the work. That's 100% not the truth. The conscious mind is not doing the work. It's the subconscious mind that does the work. But the conscious mind is what gives the subconscious the tools to do the work, right? So pay attention to that. All the books that you read, study, and all the rituals, all the stuff that you do, it's to give your subconscious mind something to work with. You have to let the subconscious mind do its thing. Now, most of us, the only freedom we give the subconscious mind is when we go to sleep. Perhaps it'd be a good idea to allow your subconscious mind to percolate every once in a while, right? Allow it to kick the shoes off and let the hair down and percolate. I'm going to try to remember that now. Percolate has been added to the vocabulary. Achievement unlocked. Subconscious mind percolation. It's time for the percolator. Supremacy McCoy says they was all percolating on Percocet. Yikes. A&H says subconscious percolating on the D of the conscious mind. Well, really, if you look at what Tantra is all about, Shakti is percolating on Shiva. Prakriti is percolating on Purusha. It's very much like, being in the strip club, sitting in the chair, and letting the stripper do her thing. That's the exact relationship between Shiva Shakti, Purusha Prakriti. And it sounds funny because of pop culture, but it's a fundamental human behavior, and that's why it serves as one of the greatest metaphors. Thanks, Anna Molly. I knew that hateration was in there somewhere. Don't need no hateration, holleration in this dancer. Okay, yeah. While you're waiting, so yeah, okay. I remember that song. Thank you. See, all y'all that was present while that song was on the radio. I ain't gonna say it. Visual OD says, let it shake like a salt shaker. I don't think that's the correct metaphor. Tiki says, yin yang, she leaking, percolating, let it shake like a salt shaker. Here's what I want you to consider, and listen carefully. Visualize you grabbing a salt shaker and shaking it. What is the motion of you shaking a salt shaker? What's happening with that salt shaker? And as you picture the salt shaker being shaken, what do you think he's talking about? It's probably not what you thought he was talking about. Shake it like a salt shaker. She's shaking something, but I don't think it belongs to her. All right, y'all, let's get back to this. Dancery. Shake it like a salt shaker. I'm not gonna read that out loud, MC Maestro. Remember what the guy said. We have to be discreet in our language. Matthew Watson says, shake weight energy. Right, right. How do you shake a salt shaker? Let's continue. It is a matter of making the data available to the conscious awareness and then allowing it to percolate. Okay, that was fun. Let me just reveal, like, do you understand the visuals and the metaphor and the laughs and how all of that experience that we just had helps to lock in an image and speak to the subconscious mind? Your subconscious mind has brought up images of that video. It brought up the sound of that song. You thought about something percolating, maybe salt shaking, right? All these images came together and we associate it with what we're doing here. Like, that's exactly how you do it. This is why Bobby Hemmett always made laughs and jokes in his videos. It helps. The subconscious mind likes to laugh too. So, one more time. It is a matter of making the data available to the conscious awareness and then allowing it to percolate. Lord, please don't let me forget the word percolate. Matter of fact, I'm going to write it on my bookmark so every time I open this book, in this dancery. All right, here we go. The inspiration for application will come forth into understanding. Manifestation is not haphazard. Lucky combination of Manifestation is not a haphazard lucky combination of synchronistic meetings. There are specific, already existing procedures in place available to be used. It is a matter of bringing these purposefully into the awareness, and then the creative imaginations will trigger the appropriate applications. The luck of the draw is simply too risky to be relied on in this project. Here again, the stress remains on the careful choices for the parenting operation. It is not desired to belabor this point, but it is awesomely important. I want to read that part again. The inspiration for application will come forth into understanding. This is after the percolation, by the way. Manifestation is not haphazard lucky combination of synchronistic meanings. There are specific, already existing procedures in place available to be used. It is a matter of bringing these purposefully into the awareness, and then the creative imaginations will trigger the appropriate applications. Do you get that? So in other words, yeah, there are certain things in place that already exist, but it's not that these things are going to save the world and give you what you're looking for. You allow these already established procedures to help your subconscious mind figure out new ways. Again, you're feeding your subconscious mind. Feeding your subconscious mind. Maybe I'll have to go back and listen to that Mary J. Blige song. Maybe it has an answer for me. There we go. MC Marshall says, discreetly, she can handily apply tactile moisture to the outer sensitive surface to the salt shaker. There we go. Jesus, 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 Jesus. Jay Baltail says, yep, how many times have we heard or seen something or received some type of download that weeks, months, even years later finally clicked the right way? That's one of the main reasons why it's so important to write down your dreams or to write down what you come across in meditation and write down these spiritual experiences. Because for one thing I know, when I kept a dream journal, I didn't really go back and like read through my dreams, but whenever something happened in waking life that I dreamt about, I remember it because I remember the process of writing it down. And I'm like, oh shit, I dreamt about this because I remember writing this down. In other words, it's when you apply different touch points, it's easier to embed something into your memory. So if you're reading these words, one touch point is reading it out loud. Another touch point is visualizing it. Another touch point could be having a certain smell happening, incense or oil or whatever. Another touch point could be drinking a specific flavor of coffee, right? All these different touch points together gives your subconscious mind even more data to embed this information. Nuru says inspiration in the imagination triggered the percolation of the manifestation. My brother, see? The intensity of the complicity of the duplicity, or should I say triplicity, of the simplicity allows me to have my Rice Krispie coffee creamer. Yummy. Ours is a most important combination of massaging our consciousness, plural, and stimulating your concerns without bringing forth panic. We are finding this to be a skill that is most rewarding. It is indeed bringing about the desired results. You are not the only ones to which this process is being applied. Just know that all that can be done from this level is being done. It is in the actual movement from the point of inertia that will allow this behind-the-scene help to aid in bringing forth the manifestation of the plan. Remember, the birthing process begins with the dance of desires and culminates in an apparent miracle through processes that go on, for the most part, beneath the level of conscious awareness. These processes are not haphazard, but proceed within exacting synthesis of multiple complicated interactions. If there was an original plan for this commonplace happening, then don't you think that a plan for one as important as this one is also in place? Okay, all right. I can dig it. Alex Cuckoo, peace. If you do not need to be aware of the functions relating to the birth process of a child to complete itself, then do you need to know of all the processes that will happen in this project? The human birthing process would not happen if certain physical actions did not take place to initiate its beginning. What is being emphasized here is that you understand you will not shepherd the whole process to its conclusion. Neither do we want you to think you will be left out of the project once it is initiated. Indeed, you will be included in ways that are not in the most freewheeling of your imagination at this moment. In this case, we encourage you to trust the process and continue to be available, for you are all needed. You did not sign on for a short-term assignment. How many of y'all are God's strongest warriors because he keeps giving you his biggest challenges? If I said that meme correctly. Hey, puppy. Dog, did you just fart? You gonna have to go back outside. What the hell is that? How could such a big smell come out of such a small creature? I'm about to spark up another stick of incense. We're gonna need a double incense for what you just did. That's crazy. That's crazy. Big Stacks. Peace and welcome. I hope that your situation is getting better. You did not sign on for a short-term assignment. Let us continue now by moving on to other subjects that are, of course, related. It is important to keep a balance in this stretch of your understanding of this commitment to the transcendence of the planet and its inhabitants. Know that this is hardly a single-handed commitment, but the agreed-upon commitment of countless numbers of beings who are not strangers to the process. In this case, the energy of this particular planet has reached a level of heaviness that is challenging, to say the least. But after all, you must know that all of you thrive on challenge, and this is no exception. However, this time, it is not a game, for failure would have serious implications beyond the mere suffering of incarnated beings. This, of course, is known to you at your deepest levels, so it is not meant as a threat. In this case, we are allowed greater discretion to assist, and we are stretching it to the utmost in order to initiate the beginning of this project. Much planning has gone into the methodology, with contingencies covered, for the art of improvisation is not limited to third-dimensional experience. Much planning has gone into the methodology with contingencies covered, for the art of improvisation is not limited to third-dimensional experience. It is known that certain lack of sincerity exists in the realms of those who present themselves as leading the resistance to the planned changes. In other words, it is obvious that there are some people who are pretending to be love and light and leaders of the new positive movement, but might actually just be greedy slime balls like the people they claim to be against. It is known that certain lack of sincerity exists in the realms of those who present themselves as leading the resistance to the planned changes. In this case, either these will find themselves involved in other activities, or you will have a distinct knowingness regarding the appropriateness of their inclusion. You're going to be able to tell more and more as we move into the future. This is going to come to you through intuition, right? The same way that you see these people getting into certain troubles. The Bible says something important, and that is what is done in the dark will always come out to the light, or something of that nature. That's a universal truth. Sometimes it takes a little bit longer than you might expect, but what's done in the dark always comes out to the light. So in this case, either these will find themselves involved in other activities, or you will have a distinct knowingness regarding the appropriateness of their inclusion. The identity of some of these might come as a surprise, but again, you are connected to a point now that you will know in the moment when it is necessary to be cautious. Most of what is included today in this contact is known to you. It is as yet not possible to reveal detail for two reasons. The proper sequences are not yet in place, and this line of communication is not yet at a level for these to come through. All possible is being done to prepare this last phase so that there will be a coordination of these elements. Again, we ask your patience and that you trust the process, redundant as it may seem at times. As you say, just hang in there. Puppy dog, you want to go back out? Is that what it is? Do you want to go back out? right. Well, in letting the dog out, I see that my fantastic human being of a baby mama just dropped off the children without any type of notice whatsoever. Let's continue. What day is it? It's Monday. Anyways, number 9. The situation is this. Time is the primary element used to recognize placement within the third dimension. However, the veil between dimensions is thinning as the awareness grows of the availability of the fourth and even fifth dimensional processes for usage in this third dimensional realm. As the awareness grows of the availability of fourth and even fifth dimensional processes for usage in this third dimensional realm, this veil will begin to thin even more. The new focus must include elements of the higher dimensions. How to do this? Thought moves between dimensions as long as the thought is within those dimensional parameters. Third dimensional parameters allow for interfering with the development of others. It allows for the forcing of one will upon another. Above that dimension, all are allowed freedom to develop without this interference. Personal responsibility is the keynote of existence. Contrary to the mass consciousness appearance of the lack of development of this level, Contrary to the mass consciousness appearance of the lack of development at this level, it is there, simply smothered by the barrage of mind control techniques. However, those techniques are not as successful as it might appear. If it were, then the massive physical control that is being put in place would not be necessary. If it were, then there would be no problem of what to do in their view of overpopulation. There would be masses of people following like lemmings into the sea. What is becoming a rising tide is the groundswell of feeling of people longing for this personal freedom. Through the moving of jobs from your country, people have found that they can create for themselves new opportunities, however nebulous they may be within the communications dream of non-production. This success within planned failure has tweaked the creative urge within many, thus the proliferation of home-based businesses. It is this glimmering of personal success that has sparked a surge within even the most oppressed of the beings in your country, meaning the welfare recipients. This information has not stayed within the boundary of this country. It has always been alive in countries of great poverty. If it were not, more would have starved long ago. Neru says, man, we love those baby mamas, helping us grow and evolve endlessly. Praise the Lord. Praise the Lord. Amen. This longing for freedom will be fanned into a blaze by the dream of its simplicity. It will be this new conception that will lift the spirits of those who will hear, and the lift will be literal. The inner prayer of the longing hearts shall be answered, and their reaction to it will not be stopped. It can't be reached by third dimensional methods, for those who try to apply them will simply be left as helpless as was the dark plan for the people. Once the critical point of awareness is reached, support of the new paradigm will take the planet forward as a whole. The ascension of the New Age dreamers is one of individual flights into the clouds. But this shall be a planetary change. Your Bible mentions 2 standing in a field and only one is taken. The person who wholeheartedly believes in the dream shall accompany the dream. The parents of this dream must have the understanding that third dimensional parameters must be transcended, and thought must be focused into the higher expectations of a new dimension. The parents of this dream must have the understanding that third dimensional parameters must be transcended, and thought must be focused into the higher expectations of a new dimension. Nuru, how is that for creating the new amidst nothing new under the sun? Trust in the personal responsibility of its citizens will be the key of the foundations of that new perception. It is the password, so to speak, for entry into this experience. Honesty and forthrightness are practiced without question. Your 23rd Psalm translation misrepresented this by the word of righteousness, which was given the meaning of judgmental attitude, in particular the actions of others. Instead, it was meant that with each was to be responsible to live rightly within the personal focus on their life attitudes and actions. This would result in finding that games of inappropriate action will not work if no one else will play by those rules. Games of inappropriate action will not work if no one else will play by those rules. Sketchscape Adventures, thank you very much. There can be no victims and no martyrs if no one will play that game. This may sound naive considering the chaos around you, but that is the difference. That is the leap that must be made, through the assumption that humanity has a critical mass that is ready to assume this shift in perception. The profit motive at the expense of all others has not led to utopia. Look at that. The profit motive at the expense of all others has not led to utopia. In other words, chasing the bag at the expense of everyone else and everything else has not led to utopia. In fact, chasing the bag has led us to where we are today. Money being the focus, material gain being the focus, if anything, continues to degenerate the reality that we live in. Kashigi says nothing new under the sun means nothing new under Tiferet or Kether. Well, it could be both because Tiferet is under Kether, but specifically the sun, as we know it, corresponds with the Sephirah Tiferet. MC Maestro, damn. I was trying to let him cook. I saw the sword slice through, anime style. I was trying to let the man cook. Alright, so the profit motive at the expense of all others has not led to utopia. Man, in true perspective, is a radiant being, meaning created to give outward the expression of the Creator's love, not to live as a usurper with only the intent of drawing all towards himself as depicted by the material experience. The experiment of this has left him hollow and unfulfilled. This shall be the opportunity to experience what will satisfy and fill his heart cup to running over. Nuru says, yep, Trav, I like it. What's old is basically the tree of life apparatus. What's new is the vibrational level, dimensional ascension, new kethers, new tiferet, endlessly until absolution. Wow. Reading that just had something click for me. Like, okay, so we're talking about expanding towards newness, quantum leap of creating something new. And I'm thinking about this tree of life, which I hold so central in my subconscious mind. And the fact that there's, I got to find that quote that Dion Fortune says in Cosmic Doctrine about how this isn't about you memorizing facts. This is about a training of the conscious mind. And it's leading me to see about how this tree isn't a concrete thing, but rather a way of kind of squeezing and shaping the mind into a certain form so that it can process newness. In other words, perhaps the tree is but training wheels. Oh, it's almost time for a coffee refill. How you guys enjoying this so far? We're about 2 hours in. What are you thinking about this vibration that's being spread out into the world? It's like a record player. This book is like a record. I guess I would be the record player. The sonograph. Broadcasting this music out through your phone into your conscious mind to be utilized by the subconscious mind. All right, got a couple folks still here. J Baldhill says love it. Starline says good read. IDKDKDF says interesting read. All right. I'll take that. Anna Molly says very cool book. So let me go back through this part one more time. Man, in true perspective, is a radiant being, meaning created to give outward the expression of the Creator's love, not to live as a usurper with only the intent of drawing all towards himself as depicted by the material experience. The experiment of this has left him hollow and unfulfilled. This shall be the opportunity to exercise what will satisfy and fill his heart cup to running over. How can you paint this vision with the color of emotion that shall magnetize all that hear it and catch them up into movement toward it? Intent shall be the alchemical ingredient, and the Creator's love of his children shall spread butter upon the path to convert an old adage to a different focus. It can be done. It shall be done. On that you can place your life's focus and trust. The etheric winds of change are in motion and the momentum is building. Do you think there is anything that can stand up against the creator of the game in the first place? It cannot be so. Welcome to the winning side. Now, isn't that a wonderful greeting? This seems like a logical place on which to end this exchange of thought. Open your hearts and feel the love that is given to you for your trust and acceptance of our combined path in this marvelous adventure of adventures. How will we top this one? It is not for us to know yet. Anna Molly says, I'm cooking dinner. What are you cooking? Ardquark says, loving this book. Tuning in while continuing tarot astrological correspondence study. Hey, let me tell you, so those videos that I did about the tarot thing, that works perfectly. Like, I just ran through at random times today. Like, I took out my deck and I shuffled it, and I would just pull the cards. Whatever minor arcana came up, I would go back through memory and recall what planet and what sign, and utilizing the little sigil that I came up with. Yeah, it's foolproof. As long as Basically, the picture that I drew, I'll show it to you. I don't know if any of you drew that, but like basically looking at this right here, this allows me to recall all the minor arcana cards as far as what planetary and astrological association it has. In other words, this entire chart right here, I'm able to memorize just based off of this. Right? Because knowing that the 2, 3s, and 4s are the cardinal signs, the 5, 6s, and 7s are the fixed signs, the 8s, 9s, and 10s are the mutable signs. Right? So knowing the signs, I know that the Leo is a fixed fire, so that's going to be the 5, 6, and 7 of wands. I know that Pisces is mutable water. It's going to be the 8, 9, and 10 of cups. And both of those cards are going to begin with Saturn. So, looking at Leo, that's going to be Saturn in Leo. The 6 is going to be Jupiter in Leo. The 7 is going to be Mars in Leo. So as long as I can just remember the first one, boom, I can just, it takes me a few seconds to get it, but shit, that'll be wrapped up with a couple of rounds of practice. Awesome possum. I love it. Okay, so yeah, that's a different topic, different video. Anna Molly says veggie and pork stir fry with rice. Okay, that sounds good. Okay. Interesting. So does the rest of the book just go through these numbered lessons? No, there's a full chapter. Well, maybe not. Yeah, it does. It continues to go through these numbers. Interesting. And how many pages is this book? 200 or so? We're on page 60. Okay. Not bad. Louis asks, what book is this, Brody? This book is called The Handbook for the New Paradigm. If you look in the description of this video, I've provided the Amazon link. You can click on that and maybe do some more research about it if you want. But while we're in this eclipse portal, it seems that the entities that live here suggest that this book would be good for reading. All right, let's go a little bit more. A little bit more. Actually, let me go out here and run and check on these tiny humans. Make sure that they are well fed and well entertained. And not breaking anything. Give me just a second. I'll be right back. All right, still with me? Are you still with me? How's everybody doing? Lord have mercy. Goodness gracious. All right, cool. New coffee. Okay, here we go. Back at it. All right, so number 10. Number 10. The movie The Siege contained heavy subliminal messaging. Just one point. Remember that it used the Constitution to resolve the difficulty. However, their intention is to use executive orders so that there is no Constitution for where will there be a judge with the authority to stand against the dark organization. The realization of that will quickly demoralize the people. That was another sleeping pill of greater magnitude than you realize. Asking for shielding and for discernment was quite effective, and it will be most helpful to use it as the situation progresses. It is something that will need to be done by each, and not something that can be done for a group by one person. Again, we go back to the law of individual responsibility. It will be interesting for you to know that the planetary consciousness is changing. Let us compare this to a breathing pattern. It is as though the planet is changing its steady intervals of inhale and exhale to an irregular pattern of deeper inhale as compared to the exhale as a gathering of internal energies. That is an area of our discussion that has not been covered. The planet too shall participate in the plan to change the situation. Remember that all manifestation at all levels is the result of the projection of thought into the malleable ethers. That's your name for the creative potential. And that thought is interactive within itself in the ability to maintain balance. You can perceive that you are beginning to experience a focus of change in a cooperative energy vibration. This has the potential to synchronize the inhabitant consciousness to blend with that of the planet as a whole. Perhaps this will allow you to begin to understand why we belabor the point of the importance of the parenting cells being of the consciousness that will produce this blending vibratory ratio. There shall be a quickening of the latent emotional connections to the planetary consciousness, not to the suffering on her part because of mankind's infliction of selfishness and greed, but to the area of conscious desire for change to a new and different experience. Remember, this is not the first civilization to experience here, and you do not know the history of these previous scenarios. Just as you experience and learn, so also is this repeated in the evolution of the planet as a whole. Here you begin to see the damming up of energy that is occurring now. When a hole in this dam is released in a direction that the whole of this energy can blend into cohesively, then there can be a release that will flush away the infection and bring about a healing of marvelous proportion. Just as a journey begins with the first step, so also this begins with the tiny hole in the dam by the formation of the first cells of the birthing process. It is not yet clear exactly what the planetary involvement will be, as it depends upon the blend of energy that parents the part of the process that is contributed by humanity. It is the key that unlocks the whole of the project. We, of course, have observed various scenarios of possible energy combinations similar to your computer projections and find that each brings forth a vastly different combination of possible reactions. Each leads to a similar end conclusion, not only in different combinations of similar elements, actions, and reactions, but in different elements and actions and reactions entirely. Therefore, the definite conclusions cannot be made even from this perspective. Isn't that interesting? We think so. Thus, once the selections are made and the first cells begin to act in the creation of the possible dream scenarios, it still will not be possible to project much of clarity into it. The dream scenario becomes clear in the minds of these groups as a whole. Can we guide this process based on our test projections? We wish we could, but that would be unacceptable interference. In this case, the guidance will have to come from a higher source than we are. There is little doubt that the highest of high is most interested in what is happening here, and that source will be available for exactly the help needed. These miniature planetary think tanks will be allowed to play with possibilities, but the request for high source help will no doubt have much powerful input into the completion of the process. I can assure you that this level knows mankind to its very core and will guide the process, but there must first be the movement beyond desire into active thought projection for the purpose of manifesting this new experience. After the creative dreaming of possibilities, then follows the purposeful focus process to place the skeletal outline in place. The great reward will be the painting in of the details with the experience of that which you will have created. The joy of this part of the process shall be wonderful indeed. I can assure you that this level knows mankind to its very core and will guide the process, but there must first be the movement beyond desire into active thought projection for the purpose of manifesting this new experience. So it has to come a point beyond just desiring a change, just desiring a better reality. There comes a point where it's more than just wanting it. There has to be a point where there is active thought projection for the purpose of manifesting that experience. Mm. Hmm. You might be a terrestrial, but I'm an extraterrestrial. Number 11. The mantra of this project must be, "In God we trust." You cannot trust manifested mass conscious beliefs. The seeds of death for your fellow human beings are beyond the planted seed stage and into the sprouting and rapid growth. There is but one salvation from this trap. It is in the service to and total trust in the way through this situation. There is but one salvation from this trap. And what's that? It is in the service to and total trust in the way through this salvation, this situation. There is not a way out, or as my favorite Diddy album, No Way Out. I used to be a Puff Daddy fan back in the 90s. That was a long time ago. There is not a way out. There is only the way through. The subtle difference is not apparent, but is indeed of great importance. Out implies resistance. Through implies movement through toward a greater goal lying beyond. Just as one does not get out of a mountain pass, but must move through it, so must you identify with the subtly different application. Mankind falls into the dream of a great leader being raised up in consciousness to lead them out of this or any other dilemma. It cannot be. It must be by the inspiration of visualizing a way of life that fills the empty void of their consciousness that the political, scientific, and religious dogma of the past and present has brought to each. The realization that only by their desire to participate, following a personal conclusion, conscious decision, right? The realization that only by their desire to participate, following a personal conscious decision, will lead them through this experience to what awaits beyond. Man is an adventurous being, loving challenge. This desire for personal adventure has been diverted into the false desire for safety, the assurance of limited risk, insurance. Remember the Navy posters that appealed to the young men by offering the adventure of sailing to unknown ports, only to end up with wooden guns guarding a metal fenced enclosure, such as did Bill Cosby. Military combat is represented as an adventurous activity, but it is not on a personal responsibility. Military combat is represented as an adventurous activity, but it is not on a personal responsibility level. Each activity is planned out not by the individual, but by the layers of officers. Yet military heroes are those that, in the moment of need, act on their own to accomplish a deed of great risk to themselves. For the public at large, risk is left to such things as the risk of death on snowboards, skiing on possible avalanche areas, swimming in possible riptide areas, climbing steep mountains, etc. These too shall soon be cut off to further stifle the soul into greater limitation. The pent-up feelings are then channeled into destructive outlets of wars, gangs, rape, pillage, and other activities contrary to the purposes of manifested life. This leads mankind from its original purpose of finding the connection and the path of return to the Creator. You already know this. So, of what point is this discussion? This is so that you might recognize the feelings that are prevalent, especially with the young people. What change is experienced when you remember that there is a plan to lead the human experience in the opposite direction, into the promised land of true personal adventure in dealing within the realms of personal self? This is what is being experienced in the greater manifested reality. It is but an enlarged mirror image of what is taking place within. Nuru says, yes, no one gets out of the experience of exiting the body at so-called death. Two hours, 22 minutes, and 22 seconds. Nice. The identified 300 are but 300 focused tricks of these distorted egos given free rein through the manipulation of their minds. All effort has been made to assist individuals on the personal level to realize this. Now, the manifestation of the evil, misunderstanding, and misuse must be dealt with by the extreme method of bringing forth a movement to halt this process on the same level as has been achieved by the misused egos of the Dark Ones. This has occurred by the process of the ego empowering itself into areas contrary to its purpose. This process has reached proportions of imbalance, which endanger the integrity of the galaxy and the universe. Extreme measures have been sanctioned by the Creator to bring this back into balance. Hey Nuru, months ago, you had mentioned a certain individual who was making videos about, I want to say, 0-point energy or something of that nature. If you're still looking into that particular subject matter, please post the name of that person or maybe the title of a video or even a link that I could check out later on. So, because of the love of the Creator for his fragments, all possible means to return these into equilibrium is being made. Some shall indeed be denied manifested life experience for what you would term long periods of time, as many opportunities to turn from their focus of separation have been given them. Others shall continue their lessons in other situations, for they are but innocently duped during the experience they chose by incarnating here. Yikes. Imagine coming here for a single life experience and ending up staying for like 25 incarnations, 300 incarnations. Reminds me of a certain book that was read on this channel not long ago. Reminds me of this book, The Paths of Poverty and Nivrity, where he talked about Hotel Earth and the soul dropping in and forgetting its mission, ending up staying here. Good book if you haven't read it. Those who have true intent and purpose shall move through the experience by their choices of participation within bringing forth this manifestation of the new creation scenario. This group-focused demonstration will carry a power of transformation that shall be thrilling indeed. It is a gift of the Creator. This shall be a blessing and a gift of grace through a profound love focus beyond all previous experience. Through this shall the raising of this planet occur. Its transcendence shall ripple outward through all of creation, allowing all levels of experience. The transcending participants will enjoy the rewards of participating within this completion. The mercy and grace available within the loving focus of the Creator is included within the infinity of His love. The finite mind is unable to fathom this, but there shall be an expansion of the ability to encompass this to a greater degree within this focus of human experience and expression within the changing of the dimensions. But even the dimensions shall change through this scenario so that all consciousness shall be thrilled by new experience and be further awakened. All right. And now does the greeting, "Welcome to the winning side," carry a new meaning? Indeed, the intent of these messages is to deepen the resolve and to give all possible support to the tasks upon your plates. May your hearts be inspired to continue your devoted participation with the blessings of all beings of light involved in this project. Your Bible has a saying, "And she pondered this in her heart." An apt way of putting it. May you open your consciousness to experience the love that surrounds, inspires, and protects you on this day. Indeed. All right. You can now bring yourself out of the receptive trance if you wish. You don't have to. But I believe that your conscious mind has recorded, collected, and consumed many ideas, many visuals, many feelings that will be sent to the subconscious mind and will indeed begin to percolate. It is 11:11. Wow, didn't even do that on purpose. Let your subconscious mind percolate with the information that you gathered tonight. I'm not gonna sing the outro of Blue's Clues this time. Maybe next time, though. Be well. Remember that next Saturday, this coming Saturday, we're gonna start the study of this, I don't even know what to call it yet, but this book that was channeled by the brilliant Dion Fortune. This was before the mystical Kabbalah, given to her straight from the inner planes, the higher dimensions. This is what we'll be doing next Saturday. But in the meantime, we'll continue digging through Handbook for the New Paradigm. We'll stop at number 12, pick up on that sometime in the near future. All right, my friends and family, stay focused on the positive. Let these other folks do what they're predicted to do. that you understand that you have the power of your attention, of your awareness and your focus. Use it wisely. Use it wisely. Use it wisely. Just because the solar lunar eclipse is passing over biblically named towns, one of which is Armageddon or Revelation or whatever, that doesn't inherently have a negative meaning. Nothing has an inherent meaning other than what you give it. So use your powers wisely and give the world meaning that benefits you and those around you. Okie doke. I hear the kids outside slamming and bamming things, so I better go check on them before they break something. Y'all know how it is. All right, so see you next time. Appreciate you. Have a good evening. This is TK Trav, aka Travis Magus, here with LVX777. I love you all. Peace. Also, if you are interested in taking the cyclomancy class, I'm going to be starting that up this month. So this will be your last chance to be involved with the cyclomancy development of your psychic abilities, specifically through the methods outlined in that book. So if you're interested in that, this will be the final opportunity to do so. More information about the exact date when I'll be starting that, but it's definitely going to be this month. Nuru says, okay, peace. I'll send you 0 point links. Thank you. Thank you. All right. Have a good night. Have a good night. Moon in Capricorn, I want to say. I don't know if you're interested in astrology, but one good exercise is to pay attention to where the moon is, and then just kind of make some journal entries on your general state of mind throughout each moon phase. I'm already seeing a pattern from when I started doing that, and I noticed that during my Capricorn phase, or when the moon's in Capricorn, I'm way more willing to get tangible work done. I don't mean like physical, but I mean like, you know, actually like constructing plans and getting things going and actually doing stuff. All right, so I'm peacing out. Y'all have a great night. Great night. Keep percolating.